3 weeks after the encounter at Seoul, Admiral Hyunwoo stood before the Calethian High Command in the Great Assembly Hall on the capital world of Caleth Prime. The massive chamber was filled with the Empire's most powerful leaders, all waiting to hear his report about the failed conquest of humanity. Supreme Admiral Young-ho, the highest military authority in the Empire, sat at the center of the curved table. His face was stern as he reviewed the data from the battle. Around him, 12 other admirals represented different fleets and sectors of Calethian space. Admiral Hyun-woo, Supreme Admiral Young-ho began. Your report claims that a primitive species defeated 2 separate Calethian fleets using technology beyond our understanding. This seems unlikely. With respect, sir, the evidence is clear. I have brought detailed sensor recordings, captured weapon signatures, and testimony from Lieutenant Commander Dongmin. At a gesture from Young-ho, guards brought Dongmin into the chamber. The human looked small and vulnerable, surrounded by Calethian military power, but his expression remained calm and confident. This human claims his species fought a war against invaders from beyond our galaxy, Admiral Sujin said skeptically. Do you believe such stories? I believe the evidence, Admiral. The technology I witnessed, the tactical capabilities, the coordination of their fleet, these are not the actions of a primitive species. Or, interrupted Admiral Minho, this could be an elaborate deception designed to prevent our rightful expansion. Perhaps humans have allies we do not know about. Dongmin stepped forward with permission to speak. Admirals, I understand your skepticism. My people would react the same way if someone told us such stories. But the threat I describe is real, and it is coming whether you believe in it or not. Show us this evidence, Supreme Admiral Young-ho commanded. For the next 2 hours, Dongmin presented data that shook the foundations of Calethian understanding. Holographic displays showed the massive Devourer ships consuming entire star systems. Battle footage revealed technology that seemed to violate the laws of physics. Star charts documented the complete destruction of civilizations the Calethians had never heard of. The most disturbing evidence was the timeline. The Devourer War had ended only 10 years ago. The devastated regions of space were still accessible, still bearing the scars of unimaginable destruction. If this is true, Admiral Tae-young said slowly, why did we never detect these battles? Why do our long-range sensors show nothing? Because you were not looking in the right places, Dongmin replied. The affected region is on the far side of the galactic core from Calethian space. By the time light from those battles reaches you, centuries will have passed. Chief Science Advisor Wu Young had been analyzing the technical data. The energy signatures are consistent with exotic matter reactions. The ship designs show engineering principles we have never encountered. Either this is real, or it is the most sophisticated fabrication in galactic history. Why should we believe you? Admiral Kyung-soo asked bluntly. Your species has every reason to lie to us. Because lying would accomplish nothing, Dongmin answered. If we wanted to deceive you, we would have claimed to be peaceful farmers with no military capability. Instead, we demonstrated our strength and offered you a choice. What choice? Join us in preparing for the real threat, or continue your expansion until the Devourers return and destroy everything you have built. Supreme Admiral Young-ho leaned forward. And if we choose to continue our expansion, what then? Then humanity will stop you. Not because we want to rule the galaxy, but because we need every possible ally when the Devourers come back. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Calethian Empire had built its power on the conquest of weaker species. Now they were being told that this expansion was not only wrong, but dangerous to galactic survival. Admiral Hyunwoo spoke into the silence. Admirals, I have seen what human ships can do. The battle was over before Admiral Juwon's fleet could mount an effective defense. If we continue on our current path, we will face the same fate as every other species that threatens them. You suggest we abandon 800 years of imperial expansion? Admiral Minho asked incredulously. I suggest we evolve. The galaxy is changing, and we must change with it or be left behind. And what of our conquered territories, our subject species? Grant them independence. Form alliances instead of demanding tribute. Build a coalition instead of an empire. The debate that followed lasted for hours. Some admirals demanded immediate military action against humanity. Others argued for a cautious approach. A few supported Hyunwoo's recommendation for complete strategic revision. Finally, Supreme Admiral Young-ho called for silence. This decision cannot be made in one day. The evidence must be verified. The implications must be studied. But first, we will send a delegation to examine these so-called devastated regions. I volunteer to lead that mission, Admiral Hyunwoo said immediately. As do I, added Captain Somin from the observer's gallery. Young-ho nodded. Very well. Take a fast scout fleet to investigate these claims. If they prove true, we will reconvene to discuss our response. As the assembly dispersed, Dongmin found himself walking beside Admiral Hyunwoo through the corridors of the military complex. Do you think they will listen? Dongmin asked. Some will. Others will need more convincing. Change is difficult, for any empire, especially one as successful as ours has been. And you? What do you believe? Hyunwoo was quiet for a long moment. I believe that yesterday's strength can become tomorrow's weakness if we do not adapt. I believe that you and your people represent something new in the galaxy, something we can learn from. Even though we defeated your ships? Especially because you defeated our ships. The Calithian Empire has grown complacent. We have forgotten what it means to face a real challenge. Perhaps that is what we needed. 2 months later, Admiral Hyunwoo's scout fleet returned from the devastated regions. With confirmation of everything Dongmin had claimed, the evidence was undeniable. The Devourer War had been real, the destruction was massive, and the threat of their return was genuine. The second assembly of the High Command was very different from the first. The debate was no longer about whether to believe the humans, but about how to respond to the crisis they had revealed. The question before us is simple, Supreme Admiral Young-ho said to the gathered leaders. Do we continue as we have for 8 centuries, or do we choose a different path? Admiral Hyunwoo stood to address his colleagues. Admirals, we stand at what the humans call the elbow of fate. We can bend toward cooperation and survival, or we can remain rigid and face destruction. The Calithian Empire has never bowed to threats, Admiral Minho declared. This is not about bowing to threats. This is about recognizing reality. The galaxy has changed. We can change with it, or we can become extinct like the civilizations that came before us. The vote, when it came, was closer than anyone expected. 7 admirals voted to maintain the current expansion policy. 6 voted for alliance with humanity and preparation for the Devourer threat. Supreme Admiral Young-ho cast the deciding vote. The Calithian Empire will halt all expansion activities immediately. We will begin diplomatic contact with our former targets. We will offer reparations to species we have conquered, and we will form an alliance with humanity for the defense of the galaxy. The decision sent shockwaves throughout Calithian space. Some worlds celebrated the end of constant warfare. Others revolted against what they saw as surrender to inferior enemies. But gradually, as more evidence of the Devourer threat spread, support for the new policy grew. 1 year later, Admiral Hyunwoo commanded the first joint human Calithian patrol fleet. Ships that had been enemies now worked together, sharing technology and tactics. The Void Sovereign had been refitted with human defensive systems, while Calithian weapons enhanced human vessels. Lieutenant Commander Dong Min served as the fleet's intelligence coordinator, helping former enemies learn to trust each other. It was not easy work, but it was necessary work. Do you ever regret that day in the asteroid field? Hyunwoo asked during one of their regular strategy meetings. Which part? Pretending to be stranded, or revealing the truth? Either. Both. Dongmin considered the question seriously. No, I do not regret it. That day changed the course of galactic history, not just for humans and Calithians, but for every species that will benefit from our alliance. And when the Devourers return, they will find a galaxy that is ready for them, united instead of divided, strong instead of scattered. That is worth any risk. As the joint fleet patrolled the outer rim, watching for signs of the coming threat, both species knew that they had chosen the harder path. Building trust between former enemies was more difficult than conquest. Cooperation required more skill than domination, but they also knew that they had chosen the right path. The elbow of fate had bent toward hope instead of destruction, toward unity instead of division. And somewhere in the darkness between galaxies, ancient enemies were stirring, unaware that the galaxy they planned to consume had learned the lessons of survival and was preparing to teach a few lessons of its own. The age of easy conquest was over. The age of galactic alliance had begun. The journey back to Calithian space was unlike anything Admiral Hyunwoo had experienced. The Void Sovereign, once the predator of the galaxy, now traveled under escort by ships that had appeared from nowhere and could disappear just as quickly. Lieutenant Commander Dong Min had been given quarters near the bridge, but he was no longer a prisoner. He moved freely through the ship, answering questions and sharing data about the Devourer threat. The Calithian crew found themselves both fascinated and terrified by what he revealed. The first battle lasted 18 hours, Dongmin explained, to a gathering of officers in the main briefing room. One Devourer ship against our entire home defense fleet. We lost 60 ships before we learned their shields could not handle sustained kinetic bombardment. Captain Somin studied the holographic displays showing reconstructed battle footage. Their ships are enormous. How did you get close enough to use kinetic weapons? Sacrifice and courage. We used smaller ships as decoys while our heaviest units moved into firing positions. Many good people died learning how to fight them. Chief Engineer Taeho was examining technical readouts. These power signatures are incredible. How does any ship generate this much energy? They harvest stellar material directly. Their ships can drain the energy from a star in days. That is how they powered their weapons and manufacturing systems. Manufacturing systems? Security Chief Bo-Ra asked. They could build new ships using the raw materials from destroyed planets. Every world they conquered made them stronger. That is why we had to stop them quickly, before they became unstoppable. The data was overwhelming. Battle records showed human ships using tactics that seemed impossible. Vessels no larger than Calethian cruisers destroying enemies 10 times their size. Fleets coordinating across light years with perfect timing. Technology that adapted and evolved during the course of battle. Your people learned quickly, Admiral Hyunwoo observed. We had to. The alternative was extinction. Dongmin's voice carried the weight of someone who had lived through terrible times. But we were not alone. The surviving members of the hegemony joined us. The Centauri refugees brought their knowledge. Former enemies became our closest allies. And now you offer the same to us? If you will accept it. The Calithian Empire has resources we need. Your shipyards, your trained crews, your military discipline. When the Devourers return, we will need every advantage we can get. Weapons officer. Gildong looked skeptical. But first we have to convince our high command to abandon 800 years of conquest. That will not be easy. I understand. Change is never easy, especially for a successful empire. But consider the alternative. When the Devourers come, they will not care about your past victories. They will only see raw materials to be harvested. The conversation was interrupted by alarms throughout the ship. Emergency lights flashed as crew members rushed to their stations. Something was happening. On the bridge, Sensor Officer Hae-Wan was tracking multiple contacts approaching their position. Admiral, I am detecting 12 ships on an intercept course. They are Calethian vessels. What ships? Hyunwoo demanded, as he took his command chair. 3 battlecruisers and 9 destroyers. The flagship is the Iron Fist, Admiral Ju-Wan commanding. Hyunwoo's face went pale. Admiral Ju-Wan was known throughout the Empire as a hardliner who believed in conquest through overwhelming force. He was also Hyunwoo's rival for promotion to the High Command. Signal from the Iron Fist, Communications Officer Jin A announced. Admiral Ju-Wan requests immediate communication. The main screen showed Admiral Ju-Wan's stern face. He was younger than Hyunwoo, with cold eyes and a reputation for brutality. Admiral Hyunwoo, what is the meaning of this? Why are you retreating from a primitive system under enemy escort? Admiral Ju-won, the situation is more complex than our intelligence suggested. I am bringing back crucial information about a galactic threat. You are bringing back shame to the Empire. Surrender your ship immediately. I will finish what you failed to accomplish. Captain Somin looked at Hyunwoo with concern. Admiral Ju-won commanded a significant force, enough to challenge the human escort if he was foolish enough to try. Admiral, Dongmin said quietly, you need to warn him. My people will defend themselves if attacked. Ju-won, you do not understand the situation. These humans have technology and experience far beyond our intelligence reports. Do not engage them. Ridiculous. 12 Calithian warships against a handful of primitive vessels? I will show you how real warriors handle inferior species. The transmission ended. On the tactical display, the Iron Fist and its escorts were accelerating toward the human ships. Signal Fleet Admiral Kyung-ho, Hyunwoo ordered urgently. Tell him this is not my doing. But it was too late. The Calithian attack force opened fire with everything they had. Particle beams and quantum torpedoes lit up space as they targeted the human escorts. What happened next shattered every assumption. The Calithians held about human capabilities. The human ships moved like dancers, their acceleration impossible by known physics. The incoming weapons fire was intercepted by defensive systems that materialized energy barriers in space. Kinetic. Projectiles fired from the human ship struck with devastating precision. The first Calithian destroyer died in seconds, its hull pierced by tungsten rods accelerated to relativistic speeds. The second lost power as electromagnetic pulses disabled its systems. The third simply vanished in a flash of light as something hit its reactor core. How are they moving so fast? Taeho gasped from his engineering station. Inertial dampening. Technology, Dongmin explained grimly. We captured it from a devourer ship. It allows rapid course changes without crushing the crew. On the screen, the Iron Fist was trying to bring its heavy weapons to bear, but the human ships were everywhere, at once. They appeared behind the Calithian formation, fired with perfect accuracy, then disappeared before return fire could reach them. Their targeting systems, Gildong whispered in awe. They are hitting weak points I did not even know existed. Precision, warfare. Another lesson from the Devourer conflict. Why destroy an entire ship when you can disable it with one perfect shot? Within 10 minutes, the battle was over. The Iron Fist was crippled but intact, its weapons destroyed and engines offline. 6 of the 9 destroyers were disabled. 3 had been completely destroyed when their crews refused to surrender. Admiral Ju-won's face appeared on screen again, but now he looked shocked and frightened. His bridge was filled with smoke and the sparks of damaged systems. This is impossible, he stammered. How can primitives defeat Calethian warships? Fleet Admiral Kyung-ho's voice came over the communication channel. Admiral, your ships attacked without provocation. My forces responded with appropriate measures. Further aggression will result in the complete destruction of your fleet. You cannot do this. The Calethian Empire will not tolerate such insults. The Calethian Empire will learn to tolerate many things if it wishes to survive what is coming. Kyung-ho replied coldly. Your ships will be escorted to the border along with Admiral Hyunwoo. Any attempt to deviate from course will be met with lethal force. As the damaged Calethian fleet limped toward the border under heavy guard, Admiral Hyunwoo realized that everything had changed. The balance of power in the galaxy had shifted, without anyone realizing it. How many ships does humanity have? He asked Dongmin quietly. Enough, came the simple reply. We learned not to reveal our full strength until absolutely necessary. Another lesson from the war. And if the Calethian Empire refuses to listen? If they try to attack Earth with a larger fleet? Dongmin looked at the tactical display showing the effortless destruction of modern Calethian warships. Then they will discover that David has grown much stronger since his fight with Goliath. And this time, David has friends. The Void Sovereign continued its journey home, carrying with it the knowledge that the age of easy conquest was over. The galaxy had new guardians, and they were not as helpless as they appeared. Behind them, the human fleet faded back into the darkness between, stars invisible and waiting. Dongmin arrived on the bridge flanked by Security Chief Bora and 4 guards. The atmosphere was tense as every crew member watched him carefully. The humble mining engineer from yesterday seemed different now. His posture was straighter, his eyes more alert. Admiral Hyunwoo stood before the massive viewing screen showing the human fleet surrounding them. "I think we need to have another conversation, Dongmin. There are some things you did not tell us yesterday." "You never asked the right questions," Dongmin replied calmly. "I am asking now. Who are you really?" Dongmin looked around the bridge, taking in the nervous faces of the Calithian crew. "My name is Lieutenant Commander Dongmin Park, United Earth Defense Force, Intelligence Division." The bridge fell silent. Captain Somin felt a chill run down her spine. "Intelligence Division?" "That is correct. My mission was to gather information about your ship's capabilities while keeping you distracted. I needed to buy time for our fleet to get into position." "Your ship was really disabled?" Bora asked. "No. The Perseverance is a reconnaissance vessel designed to look like a civilian mining ship. The engine failure was staged to give me a reason to board your vessel." Admiral Hyunwoo's face turned red with anger. "You deceived us. You came to our system planning to conquer or destroy us. I did what was necessary to protect my people. But your species is primitive. Our intelligence reports show you have no advanced technology." Dongmin smiled for the first time since revealing his identity. "Admiral, what you call intelligence reports are 60 years old. A lot can happen in 60 years. Chief Engineer Taeho spoke up from his station. "The technology on your ship, the advanced metallurgy, the efficient reactor design, that was not mining equipment." "No, it was not. The hull plating uses quantum-enhanced alloys developed during the war. The reactor is military-grade, designed for long-range reconnaissance missions." "What war?" Somin asked sharply. Dongmin's expression became serious. "The war you know nothing about. The war that changed everything for humanity." On the main screen, Fleet Admiral Kyung-ho's image appeared again. "Admiral Hyunwoo, you have had time to consider our position. We are waiting for your response." Hyunwoo looked at Dongmin, then at his crew, then back at the screen. "We wish to negotiate terms." "There are no negotiations. You will surrender your ship and return to Calethian space with a message. Any attempt to attack human worlds will result in severe consequences. You threaten the Calethian Empire. We have conquered 847 species, and we have fought enemies you cannot imagine. Stand down your weapons, Admiral. That is not a request." The transmission ended again. Hyunwoo turned to face Dongmin with desperate eyes. "What enemies? What are you talking about? Tell me, Admiral, in all your conquests, have you ever encountered a species from outside this galaxy?" "Outside the galaxy? That is impossible. No species has that kind of range." "We thought so too. Until they arrived 15 years ago." Dongmin moved closer to the tactical display, ignoring the guards who tensed around him. "They called themselves the Devourers, ships the size of moons, technology beyond anything we had seen. They consumed entire star systems, turning planets into raw materials for their war machine." "You are making this up," Gildong said, but his voice lacked conviction. "They destroyed the hegemony first. 12 worlds, 5 billion people gone in 6 months. Then they came for the Centauri Alliance, the Rigel Confederation. One by one, every major power in this region of space fell to them." Captain Somin felt cold fear growing in her stomach. "What happened to them?" "We stopped them. Barely. It took 5 years of the bloodiest war in human history. We lost 60% of our fleet and 40 million soldiers. But we learned things during that war. Terrible things." "What kind of things?" Hyunwoo asked quietly. "How to build ships that could fight enemies with superior technology. How to use deception and tactics when facing overwhelming odds. How to forge alliances with former enemies when survival is at stake." Dongmin gestured toward the viewing screen. Those ships surrounding you were built with technology we captured from the Devourers. The crews are veterans who survived battles against impossible odds. They know how to fight and they know how to win. But if this threat is gone, why are you telling us? Somin asked. Because the threat is not gone. The force we defeated was just a scouting fleet. The main Devourer armada is still out there, somewhere beyond the galactic rim, and they will be back. The bridge crew exchanged worried glances. If what the human was saying was true, it changed everything. That is why we cannot allow the Calithian Empire to continue its expansion, Dongmin continued. Every species you conquer is one less ally we have when the Devourers return. Every world you destroy is one less source of ships and soldiers for the defense of the galaxy. You want us to stop conquering other species? Hyunwoo asked in disbelief. I want you to understand what is coming. The galaxy needs to be united, but not under conquest, under cooperation, under alliance against a common enemy that will destroy everything if we are not ready. Young-soo looked up from his navigation station. Sir, the human ships are moving. They are taking escort positions around us. Escort positions? Bora asked. They are not attacking. They are guiding us toward the edge of the system. On the communications channel, Fleet Admiral Kyung-ho's voice came through clearly. Admiral Hyunwoo, you will return to Calethian space immediately. You will carry our message to your high command. Any future incursions into human space will be considered acts of war. What message? Hyunwoo asked. Dongmin answered before the Fleet Admiral could respond. That humanity is not a primitive species ready for conquest. We are a military power that has been tested in the fires of war. We offer friendship and alliance to those who come in peace. We offer destruction to those who come with conquest in their hearts. And if the Calithian Empire refuses, then you will face the same fate as the hegemony, not from the Devourers, but from us. We learned their lessons well, Admiral. We know how to break empires that threaten innocent people. The weight of the situation settled on everyone present. The Calithians had come expecting easy victory over a primitive species. Instead, they had encountered a military force that had fought and won against enemies from beyond the galaxy. Your high command will not believe this, Hyunwoo said. They will when they see the data we are providing. Recordings of Devourer ships, tactical analyses of their technology, star charts showing the devastation they left behind. All of it is real, Admiral. All of it is waiting for you to discover. Taeho spoke up hesitantly. If what you say is true, why are you letting us go? Why not destroy us? Because we need every ally we can get. The Calithian Empire is powerful. Your ships, your soldiers, your technology could be the difference between victory and extinction when the Devourers return. But we are enemies. Today, yes. But tomorrow, when you see the data and understand the threat, perhaps we can be something else. Perhaps we can be partners in the defense of the galaxy. Admiral Hyunwoo looked around his bridge at his crew. These were people who had served with him for years, who trusted his judgment. The decision he made now would affect not just the Calithian Empire, but possibly the fate of every living being in the galaxy. Stand down all weapons, he ordered quietly. Sir? Gildong asked in surprise. Stand down all weapons. Signal the human fleet that we are complying with their demands. Admiral, Somin whispered, the High Command will be furious. The High Command will understand when they see what I have seen, when they learn what I have learned. Hyunwoo turned to face Dongmin. You have given me much to think about. Lieutenant Commander, I hope I have given you reason to hope as well, Admiral. The galaxy is full of wonders worth protecting, worth fighting for. As the Void Sovereign began its journey back to Calethian space, escorted by ships that could have destroyed it, Admiral Hyunwoo wondered if he was making the biggest mistake of his career or the most important decision of his life. Either way, the galaxy would never be the same. The next morning, Dongmin woke early in his guest quarters aboard the Void Sovereign. The Calethian guards brought him breakfast and escorted him to the engineering section. Chief Engineer Taeho had volunteered to help repair the human ship. Your fusion reactor is very interesting, Taeho said as they examined the Perseverance's engine room. The design is much more efficient than our intelligence reports suggested. Where did humans learn this technology? Dongmin climbed into the engine compartment with practiced ease. Trial and error mostly. We had some help from theoretical physicists about 20 years ago. Big breakthrough in plasma containment. 20 years? But your species only developed jump drives 50 years ago. We have been working on fusion for much longer. Space travel was just the first application. Dongmin began checking connections with the skill of someone who had done this many times. Actually, our problem today is not the reactor. It is the jump drive coupling. Taeho watched as Dongmin quickly diagnosed the issue. The human's hands moved confidently through the complex machinery. He seemed to know exactly what he was doing. You are very skilled for a mining engineer, Taeho observed. I have worked on many different ships. You learn to fix whatever breaks. Dongmin pulled out a damaged component. This coupling failed because of metal fatigue. Happens when you push the systems too hard. Were you pushing your systems hard? Dongmin paused for just a moment. Sometimes mining work requires quick movement between asteroids. The jump drives get overworked. While they worked, Captain Somin was in her office reviewing the analysis of Dongmin's ship. The metallurgy report was puzzling. The hull was made of an alloy that did not appear in any database. The composition was sophisticated, using elements, arranged in patterns that suggested very advanced materials science. This is not primitive technology, she muttered to herself. Where did they get metal like this? The fusion reactor was even more interesting. While smaller than Calithian reactors, it was extremely efficient. The design showed principles that their own engineers had only recently discovered. Either humans were much smarter than they appeared, or they had help from someone else. Somin called up the intelligence files on human space again. According to their sources, humans had limited contact with other species. They traded with a few nearby civilizations but had no military alliances. Their technology development seemed purely internal, but something did not match. The gap between reported human capabilities and what she was seeing on this ship was too large. Either their intelligence was wrong, or the humans were hiding something. Jin'e, she called to the communications officer. Have you been monitoring human transmissions since we arrived? Yes, Captain, normal traffic mostly. News reports about our arrival, government meetings, fleet movements. Nothing secret. What about the fleet movements? Their ships are staying close to Earth. Standard defensive positioning. Maybe 40 vessels total, just like our scans showed. Somin nodded, but she was still troubled. 40 ships against the Void Sovereign was suicide. Even primitive species usually gathered larger fleets when facing extinction. Unless the humans had something else planned. In the engineering section, Dongmin had finished repairing his ship. The work had taken less time than expected. Taeho was impressed by the humans' efficiency. Your ship should work perfectly now, Taeho said. But I am curious about something. This jump drive design is very compact. How do you achieve such power density? Dongmin smiled. Trade secret. Human engineers are very competitive. We are always trying to build better engines than the next guy. But this level of miniaturization requires advanced field generators. Where did you learn to build those? Like I said, trial and error. We have been working on this for a long time. Taeho was about to ask another question when alarms began blaring throughout the ship. Emergency lights flashed red as the crew rushed to battle stations. What is happening? Dongmin asked, looking concerned. I do not know. Stay here. Taeho ran toward the bridge, leaving Dongmin with 2 guards. On the bridge, chaos was erupting. Sensor Officer Hae-Wan was shouting reports, while Admiral Hyunwoo tried to understand the situation. Multiple hyperspace signatures throughout the system. Ships are appearing everywhere. How many ships? Hyunwoo demanded. Still counting, sir. At least 80 vessels. They are surrounding us. Captain Somin stared at the tactical display in shock. The human fleet had tripled in size overnight. Ships were emerging from hyperspace in perfect formation, creating a sphere around the Void Sovereign. Where did they come from? Hyunwoo asked. Our sensors detected nothing. They must have jumped in from outside our sensor range, Young-Soo said. Coordinated arrival at predetermined points. That requires precise navigation and timing, Somin observed. Very sophisticated planning. On the screen, the human ships were unlike anything in their intelligence files. These were not the primitive vessels they had been expecting. Sleek destroyers moved with deadly grace. Massive carriers launched swarms of fighter craft. And at the center of the formation were three enormous ships that dwarfed everything else. Analysis of the large vessels, Hyunwoo ordered. Haewon worked frantically at her sensors. The three large ships are approximately 8 kilometers long each. Unknown design. Heavy armor and weapons. I am detecting multiple fusion reactors in each ship. 8 kilometers? That is impossible. Our intelligence said their largest ships were less than 1 kilometer. Sir, these ships do not match any known human designs. They must be new construction. Gildong studied the weapon signatures. They are armed with kinetic projectiles, advanced missiles, and some kind of energy weapons I have never seen before. The targeting systems are very sophisticated. How sophisticated? They have target locks on us from every direction. Perfect firing solutions. They could have destroyed us already. The implications hit everyone at the same time. The human fleet could have attacked immediately after arrival. Instead, they were waiting. They had tactical superiority and were choosing not to use it. Incoming transmission, Jin'e announced. The main screen showed a human in a military uniform. He was older than Dongmin, with gray hair and sharp eyes. His uniform was different too, more formal and decorated with rank insignia. I am Fleet Admiral Kyung-ho of the United Earth Defense Force. You are completely surrounded. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Hyunwoo stepped forward. I am Admiral Hyunwoo of the Calithian Empire. You are making a grave mistake. This ship can destroy your entire fleet. No, Admiral, you are making the mistake. You have entered human space with hostile intentions. You threatened our people. That was unwise. Your primitive weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Fleet Admiral Kyung-ho smiled coldly. Admiral, your intelligence is 60 years out of date. We are not the same species you researched. Stand down immediately. And if we refuse, then we will demonstrate why threatening Earth is a bad idea. The transmission ended. On the bridge of the Void Sovereign, silence fell as the crew realized their situation. They were outnumbered, surrounded, and facing technology that should not exist. In the engineering section, Dongmin heard the alarms and emergency announcements. The guards with him looked nervous and confused. They had not expected this development. It seems my people decided not to surrender, Dongmin said, calmly. But how? One guard asked. Where did all those ships come from? Dongmin looked at them with sympathetic eyes. I think there are some things about humans that your intelligence missed. On the bridge, Admiral Hyunwoo was trying to understand how the situation had changed so quickly. Yesterday, they had faced a weak, divided species with primitive technology. Today, they were surrounded by a fleet that appeared from nowhere using advanced tactics. Captain So-min, he said quietly. What do you think? I think we underestimated them, sir. Badly. Should we fight? So-min looked at the tactical display. The human ships had perfect positioning. Their targeting systems were locked on. Their formation was flawless. Fighting would be suicide. Sir, I recommend we listen to what they have to say. For the first time in his career, Admiral Hyunwoo of the Calithian Empire found himself at the mercy of a species he had planned to conquer. The hunter had become the hunted, and he did not like the feeling. Bring the human prisoner to the bridge, he ordered. I want to talk to him again. Something told him that Dongmin had more to say about his people. Much more. The small human ship looked even smaller inside the Void Sovereign's massive hangar bay. Next to the Calithian fighters and shuttles, it seemed like a toy. The hull was scratched and worn, but Taeho noticed something odd about the metal. It looked different from what their intelligence reports described. Bring the human to Conference Room 3, Admiral Hyunwoo ordered. Full security escort, but treat him as a guest. We want information, not a fight. Security Chief Bora led 6 guards to meet the human as he stepped out of his ship. The man was average height, wearing a simple gray jumpsuit. He looked nervous, but not terrified. Most species were shaking with fear by this point. "I am engineer Dongmin of the mining vessel Perseverance," the human said through the translation device. "Thank you for responding to my distress call. My engines failed during a routine asteroid survey." Bora studied him carefully. He seemed harmless enough. "You will come with us. Admiral Hyunwoo wants to speak with you." As they walked through the corridors of the Void Sovereign, Dongmin looked around with obvious interest. His eyes took in every detail of the ship's design, the technology, the crew movements. For a simple engineer, he seemed very observant. "Your ship is impressive," Dongmin said to Bora. "How long is it?" 15 kilometers, Bora replied proudly. "The largest warship in the galaxy. Incredible. How many crew members?" 50,000. All trained warriors and technicians." Dongmin nodded, but Bora noticed his eyes were studying the security cameras and wall panels. He was memorizing the layout. Strange behavior for someone who claimed to be a mining engineer. Conference room 3 was designed to intimidate. The ceiling was high, the table was made of black stone, and holographic displays showed the power of the Calithian Empire. Admiral Hyunwoo sat at the head of the table with Captain So-min beside him. "Please sit." Hyunwoo gestured to a chair, across from him. "I am Admiral Hyunwoo. This is Captain So-min. We are sorry about your ship trouble." Dongmin sat down carefully. "Thank you for helping me. I was not sure anyone would respond to my signal." "We respond to all distress calls," Hyunwoo lied smoothly. "Tell me about yourself. What do you do?" "I work for the Asteroid Mining Division. We survey rocks for valuable minerals. It is quiet work, but I like it." Dongmin seemed relaxed, despite being surrounded by alien technology and armed guards. So-min leaned forward. "How long have humans had space travel?" "About 50 years for faster-than-light travel. We had slower ships before that." Dongmin answered honestly. "We are still learning. Your technology is far beyond ours." "What kind of weapons do human ships carry?" Hyunwoo asked directly. Dongmin did not hesitate. "Railguns mostly. They fire metal projectiles very fast. Some ships have missile launchers. Our energy weapons are not very powerful compared to yours, I think." The Calithians exchanged glances. The human was being completely honest about his species' weaknesses. Either he was very naive or humans were even more primitive than they thought. "What about your military? How many soldiers does Earth have?" "Maybe 10 million in all branches, but most of our fleet is for exploration and trade, not fighting. We do not have many wars anymore." Dongmin paused. "Are you planning to attack us?" Hyunwoo smiled coldly. "Your species will join the Calithian Empire. This can happen peacefully or through force. The choice is yours." "I see." Dongmin looked thoughtful rather than afraid. "How many species have you conquered?" 847, soon to be 848. "That is a lot. Do they all serve willingly?" "They serve because they must. We bring order to the galaxy. Primitive species benefit from our guidance." Dongmin nodded slowly. "And if a species refuses? They are destroyed or enslaved. We prefer cooperation, but we will use force when necessary." For the first time, Dongmin looked uncomfortable, but it was not fear in his eyes. It was something else. Disappointment, maybe. "I would like to see more of your ship," Dongmin said. "I am very interested in technology. Could you show me your engines?" So-min looked at Hyunwoo. Showing a primitive alien their advanced technology was not usually done. But what harm could it do? The human had no way to escape or contact his people. Chief Engineer Taeho can give you a tour, Hyunwoo decided. "Under guard, of course." "Of course. Thank you for your kindness." As they left the conference room, So-min whispered to Hyunwoo. "He is very calm for someone whose species is about to be conquered." "Perhaps he does not understand the situation," Hyunwoo replied. "Or maybe humans are just naturally passive. Some species accept defeat easily." But So-min was not convinced. Something about the human bothered her. He asked good questions and observed everything carefully. His ship, while small, showed more sophisticated engineering than their report suggested. The metal composition was unknown. The fusion reactor design was actually quite clever. Over the next few hours, Dongmin toured the Void Sovereign with Taeho as his guide. The engineer was happy to show off their technology to someone who seemed genuinely interested. "This is our main reactor core," Taeho explained proudly. "It generates enough power to supply a small planet. The antimatter containment fields use quantum stabilization technology." Dongmin listened carefully and asked intelligent questions. "How do you prevent cascade failures in the containment system?" "Triple redundancy with automatic isolation protocols, very safe." Taeho was impressed by the question. "You know something about reactor design?" "I work around fusion reactors all the time. Your antimatter system is much more advanced, but the basic principles are similar." They moved to the weapons bay next. Gildong showed them the massive particle beam cannons and quantum torpedo launchers. "One shot from these guns can destroy a mountain," Gildong boasted. "Your entire human fleet could not damage our armor." "Very impressive," Dongmin agreed. "How fast can you target multiple ships?" "Our targeting computers can lock onto 1,000 targets simultaneously. We could destroy your whole fleet in minutes." Dongmin nodded thoughtfully. He was learning exactly what he needed to know. In the navigation center, Youngsu demonstrated their hyperspace drive and sensor systems. "We can jump anywhere in the galaxy instantly. Our sensors can detect ships from light years away." "Amazing. Do you have any blind spots in your sensor coverage?" "A few small areas, but nothing significant." "Why do you ask?" "Just curious about the technology. On human ships, we always have problems with sensor shadows near the engines." Youngsu laughed. "Primitive technology. Our sensors use quantum entanglement principles. Much more reliable." As the tour continued, Dongmin asked more questions about ship operations, crew routines, and defensive systems. The Calethians were happy to answer. They enjoyed showing their superiority to a primitive species. But Bora was starting to notice things. The human's questions were very specific. He seemed especially interested in power distribution, shield generators, and communication systems. For a mining engineer, he knew a lot about military topics. "Where exactly do you work?" Bora asked, during a break in the tour. "Asteroid Belt Mining Station 7, Dongmin replied quickly. "Been there for 3 years. Quiet place. Good for someone who likes to think." "What did you do before mining?" Dongmin hesitated for just a moment. "Various engineering jobs. Maintenance work, mostly. I have worked on many different types of ships over the years." Bora filed that information away. There was something about this human that did not add up. His story was simple, but his knowledge was extensive. His behavior was nervous, but his questions were confident. When the tour ended, they returned Dongmin to a guest quarters near the hangar bay. The room was comfortable but under constant surveillance. "We will repair your ship tomorrow," Bora told him. "Then you can return to your people with our message of surrender." "Thank you again for your help," Dongmin said politely. "I will. Tell my people about your power and kindness." As the guards left, Dongmin sat on the bed and looked around the room. He had learned everything he needed to know. The Void Sovereign was powerful, but it had weaknesses. Every ship did. The question was whether his people could exploit those weaknesses in time. Outside his room, Bora stood watching the surveillance monitors. The human was just sitting quietly, but something about him still bothered her. Tomorrow she would investigate his background more carefully. Neither of them knew that across the galaxy the human fleet was already moving. The Void Sovereign cut through space like a blade through silk. 15 kilometers of dark metal and deadly weapons, it was the pride of the Calethian Empire. Nothing in the galaxy could match its power. Nothing dared to try. Admiral Yun Wu stood on the bridge watching stars drift past the massive viewing screen. His uniform was perfect, his metals polished to shine. Behind him, his crew worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. They had just finished another easy victory. 3 worlds had surrendered without firing a single shot. The sight of the Void Sovereign had been enough. "Admiral." Captain Somian approached with a datapad in her hands. Her voice was calm and professional. "We have our next orders from High Command. Hyunwoo turned to face her. So-min had served with him for 10 years. She was smart, loyal, and never questioned his decisions. What system this time? Sul system, sir. A small cluster near the outer rim. The species calls themselves humans. So-min handed him the data pad. Intelligence says they are very primitive. They barely have faster-than-light travel. Hyunwoo read through the report. The humans had only discovered jump drives 50 years ago. Their ships were slow and clumsy. Their weapons were simple kinetic projectiles and basic energy beams. Most of their technology was centuries behind Calethian standards. How many ships do they have? Hyunwoo asked. Maybe 200 combat vessels in their entire fleet. Most are small patrol craft. Their largest ships are less than 1 kilometer long. So-min pointed to a picture on the screen. This is their most powerful warship. They call it a battleship. The crew around them chuckled. Engineer Tae-ho looked up from his station. Admiral, our point defense systems could destroy 100 of those ships before they got close enough to fire. Their weapons cannot even penetrate our outer armor, added Weapons Officer Gildong. This will be over in minutes. Hyunwoo nodded. It would be another easy conquest. The humans would see the Void Sovereign and surrender immediately. They would join the Empire like all the others. The galaxy was getting smaller every year. Set. Course for the Sol system, Hyunwoo ordered. Standard approach. Drop out of hyperspace at the edge of their detection range. Give them time to see us coming. Yes, sir. Navigation Officer Young-soo began entering coordinates. Estimated arrival in 6 hours. The bridge settled into routine. This was how all their missions went. Jump to a new system, show their massive ship, and wait for the surrender. The Calethian Empire had conquered 847 different species this way. The humans would be number 848. Communications Officer Jin A was monitoring human radio signals. Sir, they seem to know we are coming. Their news broadcasts are talking about an alien ship approaching. Are they mobilizing their fleet? So-min asked. Some movement, but nothing coordinated. Most of their ships are staying near their home planet. They do not seem to have a plan. Hyunwoo was not surprised. Primitive species never knew how to react to superior technology. They either panicked or surrendered immediately. Either way, the result was the same. Admiral, Tae-ho called from his engineering station. All systems are running perfectly. Weapons are charged and ready. Shields are at full power. We could destroy their entire planet if needed. That will not be necessary, Hyunwoo replied. The Empire prefers new workers, not dead worlds. Security Chief Bo-ra approached the Admiral. She was young but experienced in handling conquered populations. Sir, should I prepare boarding parties? Some species require a demonstration of our ground forces. Not yet. Let them see the ship first. Most species surrender once they understand how outmatched they are. The hours passed slowly. The crew remained relaxed and confident. They had done this many times before. The outcome was never in doubt. Dropping out of hyperspace in 30 seconds, Young-soo announced. The Void Sovereign shuddered slightly as it shifted from hyperspace to normal space. The Sol system appeared on their screens, a yellow star with several planets. The third planet was covered in blue and green colors. That was Earth, the human homeworld. Scanning for human ships, reported Sensor Officer Haewon. I detect approximately 40 vessels in the system. Most are small patrol craft, nothing that poses a threat. Any response from the humans? Hyunwoo asked. Jinny checked her communications. Multiple signals coming from their planet. They are asking who we are and what we want, standard first contact protocols. Open a channel. Let me speak to their leaders. The main screen flickered and showed a human face. The creature looked nervous but tried to appear calm. It spoke in their primitive language, which the ship's computers translated instantly. This is Admiral Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. You have entered human space without permission. Please state your intentions. Hyunwoo stepped forward. I am Admiral Hyunwoo of the Calethian Empire. Your species will surrender immediately and join our empire. Resistance is futile. You have seen our ship. You know you cannot win. The human Admiral looked shocked. We cannot surrender our entire species. Perhaps we can discuss terms. There are no terms. Surrender or be destroyed. You have 1 hour to decide. Yunwu cut the communication. This was normal too. Primitive species always tried to negotiate at first. They would come around once they realized how hopeless their situation was. Their ships are moving, Heiwan reported. The human fleet is forming some kind of defensive formation around their planet. Teho laughed. 40 small ships against the Void Sovereign? They might as well throw rocks at us. Maybe they do not understand how powerful we are. So many, suggested. Some species need a demonstration. We will give them one if necessary, Yunwu said. But first let them think about it. Fear is often more effective than force. The Void Sovereign waited at the edge of the system. Its massive bulk blocked out stars. Its weapons could reach any point in the system within seconds. The human ships looked like insects next to a giant. Sir? Jin'e spoke up. I am receiving a distress signal from somewhere in the asteroid belt. It appears to be a human ship in trouble. Yunwu looked at the tactical display. A small dot was flashing near, a cluster of asteroids. What kind of ship? Scanning now, Heiwan said. It is a small civilian vessel, approximately 200 meters long. Appears to be a mining or research ship. It is not moving. Any life signs? 1 human aboard. The ship seems to have engine failure. Somin looked at Hyunwoo. This could be useful, sir. If we rescue the human, it might show their people that we are not monsters. It could make them more willing to surrender. Hyunwoo considered this. Showing mercy to a helpless enemy sometimes worked better than threats. Bring the ship aboard. Let us meet one of these humans face to face. Yes, sir. Bora headed for the hangar bay to prepare a reception. The Void Sovereign changed course toward the asteroid field. Soon they would have their first human prisoner. This might be easier than they thought.